Here we are. We are brand new on Arena. We have 0 wild cards, 0 common, 0 uncommon, 0 rare, no mythics. We have no money, we have no gems. But what we did get when we finished the tutorial is all of these packages in the mail. And every single one of them just about had a bunch of packs. So we have a bunch of packs to open. If I was giving you advice that wasn't on this channel, I would say go build your mana base. Get a really good mana base, spend the rare wild cards on lands because they're good. They go in every deck you're going to play in those colors, so on and so forth. However, I still think you can be competitive in Standard, especially with using basic lands, and we're going to adventure into that here on the channel. So yeah, let's open some packs, see what we can get for wild cards, and see what we can come up with for control on a budget. I'm just going to open all of these because these don't matter to me. You definitely don't have to build your decks in the way that I'm doing it. I'm trying to prove that you can play Standard or Historic, mainly trying to show that you can play Standard on a budget without having to spend a bunch of money. This client is very good at making you want to spend money to play the cards that you want to play. Blue-black control is a easy format choice if you're playing on low rares. Control in general is very good in a common-only environment, because a lot of the times the removal and counterspell options are replaceable, and you're just looking for ways to win the game, and that's usually the big flashy mythic. But a lot of the times, especially on Arena, you can grind your opponents down to the point where they just don't want to play anymore. We're going to blast through these opening packs. I'll probably speed the video up here, and I'll see you all in the DeckTech. Okay, everybody, here's where I've landed with a build that I think is a reasonable starting point. There's some easy upgrade paths when we get started. After playing a few games with it, we'll see what feels bad, what feels good, but I think with no rares and no land choices other than basics, this is a great place to start. We're playing a pseudo control deck. We have a low cost threat in Delver of Secrets, which we're trying to stick on turn 1 ideally and then protect it. We have a lot of cheap interactive spells. We have a lot of counter spells to interact with things on the stack. We have a lot of removal spells that are all kind of interchangeable and have different purposes. They have pseudo conditional removal, and then we have some harder, just non-conditional destroy the creature that we target. Have a little bit of card draw. Rona, I think, is our ideal recurring threat. It's hard to cast, being a double black pipped card, but it's inevitability, and all of this cheap interaction instants and sorceries that we play are going to make our actual win condition very cheap, which is this Tolarian Terror. It gets cheaper to cast for every instant and sorcery card in our graveyard, and it has Ward 2. So whenever a permanent with Ward becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, it gets countered unless they pay the Ward cost. So this card is hard to interact with. It's hard to remove from play with targeted removal. And we should be able to get it out pretty quickly and put a clock on the opponent. Now, is this an ideal control deck for Mythic rank? No, but I think that it'll get us through Bronze, probably up into Silver or Gold reasonably well. Let's go put my money where my mouth is. Let's play some Magic. This is great. We have our lands, we have our spells. We're good to keep. A little bit of a dream team there. I'm not sure what deck this might be, so we'll just pass. When you're playing the control deck, you basically want to evaluate if the card that they're trying to play is going to end the game, and if it's not going to end the game, then you don't really need to interact with it. I don't have any sweepers in my deck because they're not common at uncommon and common rarities, so we kind of have to evaluate answering things on a one-for-one basis. I'm okay taking one here. It's not good to not spend your mana. Like, I didn't spend any mana in this turn rotation, but I think there's other things that I need to be worried about from their deck, so I'm going to go ahead and pass. We have a better counter spell now that can only hit creatures. So we can counter something if they play it big, and if they don't cast anything big, we can just kill these little creatures in the end of their turn. So I'm going to go ahead and remove one of these because they didn't play a land. Not sure, they might be color screwed, they might be missing a color. Not entirely sure. But we're going to keep passing. We've cut their clock in half. We have lots of time to figure this out. We're drawing our lands, we're making our plays. They drew a land for turn. Oh, there's Gix. We're going to go ahead and counter Gix. We don't have mythics in our deck. You can't have any either, friend. So now I have enough to kick this, or I can cast it to draw 2 and then hold up counterspell, which I think is more important. So I'm just going to draw 2 cards. Which is good because that lets us hold up their counterspell. We really don't want to fight Gix. Yeah, this is really good that we didn't let that resolve. And our opponent does not want to play the game anymore. This is the benefit of playing a control-oriented deck, is my cards weren't necessarily good. Like, let's see what happened here. I played a common, a common, a common, and an uncommon. And basic lands. My opponent played 2 mythics and 2 uncommons and decided they were done playing the game with me. They don't want to play. You don't need mythics to win the game. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, once again, we've opened up on lands and spells, and we have our big game-ending threat here, so I think I'm going to keep this, and we'll see how it works out. We have Vohar to help us draw cards. Our opponent starts on a 1-drop rare. Okay, this might be Boros Convoke, which is a deck in Standard that is very good. I wouldn't expect to run into it in Bronze, but might just be mono-white. Yeah, okay. This is going to be yucky. So I'm going to go ahead and take a turn off to get Vohar down. I probably should be holding up Essence Scatter to counter their 3-drop creature, because 3-drops in mono-white are like the power cards. Okay, that's fine. Interesting, okay. They're going to tap their board to make this guy a little bigger. That's a cool card, I haven't seen that before. We're going to play Delver. No attacks. We're going to hold this up to help us draw some cards. Okay, so we're going to send that one straight to the graveyard, friend. No thank you. They might get attacky. Yeah, okay. I think that's fine. We can take 2. They're probably going to second main, tap their guys to put a counter on this. Yep. Just now, this will trigger Coven on their next turn. Gross. All right, we're going to draw a card and discard a card. Just discard a swamp. We'll reveal that, which flips our Delver. We'll get in for 3. I think we hold up our counter spells. We're gonna take a big hit, but should be okay. No attacks from the opponent. Interesting. I don't know why they wouldn't want to attack there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and discard this Make Disappear. Oh, we'll discard Essence Scatter because we see they have this Virtue of Loyalty chilling. So we'll discard that, and then we'll cast Murder on this in the end step. Which is good for 2 reasons. So I can draw and discard and try to get this to be cheaper so I can hold up the counterspell as well. I think that's worth it. It didn't matter. We can go to combat, swing in for 3. And I think I have to hold up this make disappear. I cannot let this thing resolve or I will just die. Okay. Okay, that's going to be rough. We're going to take a big hit here. We're getting kind of outclassed by our opponent's rares, which we're making a good fight out of it at least. Okay. So I think we're going to start by going to combat. I'll just kill that now. And I'll hold up, make disappear. I want them to cast it. Another rare. Mono white rares. Okay. They have another 3/3 vigilance. I think I'm going to have to block this time and just throw my creature away. So I'll block. Then before damage, I'll activate to draw a card. We got a removal spell. Oh man, okay. I think I just lose, but because this is going to come down and just kill us. So let's go to combat. I can kick this to get the last card out of my opponent's hand. Lets me draw 2. Because it's kicked, they have to discard a card. We might be able to get there with 5/5s, but we're running out of time. Opponent is thinking. They do not want to discard their last card, it seems. My opponent is very deep in the tank now. There we go. They discarded this removal spell. Okay, cool. Then we're going to play our 1-mana 5/5. And we actually are in a really good spot here. They're going to cast this. They can't really attack. Because I have a 5/5. They're paying the 1. Okay. They just went straight to the end step. Seems perfectly reasonable. Okay, so I'm going to go to combat and swing. They're going to block. Oh, this is awesome. So they did a double block, which is great. Because now before damage, I can just kill this one. I get to eat this creature for free, deal 3 to them, play my other 5/5, and we're holding up a counterspell. Sure. I can't actually do anything about that. I don't want that to come into play. So I'm going to cast this with Casualty. I'm actually going to sack one of my terrors. So they have to pay 2 twice, which they can't do. Yep, they're going to get a card draw. I go to combat. They have to block. They go to 3, and we'll cast our Rona. And they have to kill this insectile aberration, or we have them dead in the air. Okay, they found it. So now I'm not feeling so good. This thing has vigilance, so it gets to keep slamming it. We need to find a removal spell very quickly. I'm okay to just take 6 here. Your life total is a resource, just like everything else in the game. Okay, this is really good. Because I can just kill the creature that they have that's a second blocker. So we'll go ahead and give this thing like -5. And then we have 2 lethal attackers. They have to block both of them. This has to be a removal spell. And it's not. We win. Super solid gameplay from the opponent. And once again, we show the power of uncommons and common removal and counter spells, beating up on mythics. Let's count. We have a mythic, a rare, another rare. Yeah, there's so many wild cards that my opponent has used to be mythics and rares, and it just doesn't matter. Okay, we'll do one more. Let's see if we can go 3 for 3 on this 0 rare blue-black control shell. Iron Bat. That sounds like a boss. I think we found the boss of bronze. This is a solid hand. We have our lands, we have our spells. This is ideal. We have a turn 1 Delver. We need to find a second swamp pretty quick, so these murders come online. Looks like our opponent is on Esper Control. Esper is this color combination of blue, black, white. So we're probably going to see our Delver eat a removal spell here. That is exactly what goes on. So Esper Control is probably going to eat us for lunch. The deck is built on basically the same premise as our control deck, except they use rares and mythics almost exclusively. Like their mana base is full of rares. This is 3 rares right here. This land is a win condition in itself in control mirrors. There's another rare. Yeah, so ideally, this is the deck that you'd be trying to build into if you're playing standard. Like Esper Control is just very solid. It plays the best mana base, the best removal spells, the best counter spells. We're probably gonna just absolutely eat it to this deck, but our mana base is punishing us. We need 2 black to be able to cast our spells. We need 2 black to be able to cast murders. We have 3 spells we can cast, and they don't have any creatures. They're in the same vein as us, where they don't play very many creatures, and the ones they do cast tend to win the game on their own. I'm not sure. My opponent probably gives me a lot more credit than I deserve there. They think I'm holding counter spells or something of the like. This is a wonderful hand again. This is great. Turn 1 Delver into turn 2 Vohar is exactly what we're trying to do in the opening turns of the game. This is a fresh account, so I don't have any sleeves unlocked yet, but on my main account, I have a lot of stuff from beta testing this game. Meme Justice is on mountains, okay. I will not reveal my swamp. I will play it and go to combat. See if they want to use a burn spell or something on my Delver. They don't. Cool. We'll play a Vohar. Yep. Okay. They don't want us to have the card selection or the card draw. You see them reading it now. I will not reveal. So we need them to play a creature that has less than 2 toughness, and we'll be able to remove it. Not having our Delver flip for 2 turns is kind of rough. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to have to wait to be able to kick this to be able to kill this creature. We're going to take 3. Very good card from the opponent. 3 mana rare. It's a 2/3. At the beginning of combat, target creature you control gets +1/+0, gains haste, so it can attack the turn it comes in. We're going to take our beats. We're going to again fail to flip. Man, okay. Now it gets huge. If we can survive long enough to get our 5/5 into play, we might be able to just brick this. Okay, so they're playing a combo deck. So they're going to discover. We're going to see what they discover. Okay, let's see if these things target at the same time. They don't. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove this. We're going to take a bunch of damage here. We need to find our removal spells. I will not. No attacks. Yeah, not having any removal spells is coming in to bite us. So we're going to take another 5. We might just die this turn if they have a removal spell for the Delver. Yep, so actually I think I'm just dead because these have trample now. So yep, I'm just going to be dead. I'll eat up exactly that. Cool. So we didn't find our removal spells in time and we died for it. That is how it works when you're playing a control deck into aggro. And that's going to happen in just about every environment. Doesn't matter how many rares or mythics are in your deck. That's aggro is going to be a natural predator to control. The first 4 turns of a game. That's when you're at your riskiest. But the thing that's really cool about Arena is you can play a lot of games. Interesting. Haven't seen this used yet, so I'm not sure what they're maybe doing with it, but I'll hold up a bounce spell. Okay, let's just remove the chip. I think this is a mana rock. It makes mana, makes it day or night. Okay. They're going to gain some life. Day-night is a mechanic in Standard right now that we noticed it in that last game with those werewolves. They get a buff if it's nighttime versus day. And as it becomes night, transform all day-bound permanents. Permanents enter the battlefield night-bound. And then if any player casts 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day. So we could swap it back and forth. And if nobody casts a spell, it becomes night. So the reason those werewolves were able to flip and kill us in the last match were because I wasn't able to cast my spells. Draw 3 cards, discard 2 unless you discard a basic. I don't have a solution for that. Interesting, okay. We're going to put the Celestis back in my opponent's hand. Set them back a little bit. We're going to take some surveils, get some cost reduction of our threats. I would really like another island to hold up a counterspell. We might be able to catch our opponent here. Sure. I think that's fine. You can have that again. There, that's what I wanted. Very cool. I'm still going to hold up for my counter spells and removal. I'd like to be able to hold up a counter spell after I get the Terror into play so it doesn't just die to whatever removal my opponent might be playing. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, I can't counter this. Okay. I can, but this makes mana. That was almost a misplay. I can just murder this. So they have negate, so we're going to go ahead and protect our removal spell. This is exactly what I wanted. Because of those fights that we've had with our opponent, our Tolarian Terror gets a lot cheaper. So we'll go ahead and play one out. We'll hold up our Disdainful Stroke. This spell cannot be countered. Okay. But I can kill it. Boop. That would be a very good card for our deck if we were ever going to upgrade it. I'll go ahead and play a second Terror. I have my answer to a sweeper in my hand, so I have all I can do. So this is return target permanent. We're going to Disdainful Stroke that. Hope they don't have a counterspell. Nice. Very cool. I was worried there. If they had another negate, we were just about to die very badly. Oh, this is very cool. All right, let's swing for 10. And then we're going to kick our Phyrexian Espionage to draw 2 and make our opponent discard 1. Play our land. We are very dead to any mass sweeper, but our opponent has to have it. They have to find it basically right now. Let's see. If they have another one of these, we're probably going to biff it. Wow, X equals 7, and then it gets countered by the ward. My opponent misplayed there, so they are going to lose the game because of that. So that's where ward comes in super handy. My opponent tapped all of their mana just to be able to target my creature, and then the ward trigger went off and countered the spell and protected the creature. That's why these creatures are so good at protecting themselves. Okay, we're back for the recap. Let's talk about what went right and what went wrong. There are a few things we didn't see in that game, like we didn't see Death-Rattle Oni come up at all in any of the games, but the game plan came together really well. We saw our early threats, our card selection come together and protect a Tolarian Terror win multiple times, and I think that this is a great starting spot for anyone looking to get into Arena and looking to get into play control. No rares, super budget friendly, and you can build the deck from a brand new account, which I showed by doing it. I had a brand new account before we started and opened the packs. This is where I've landed. If you open rares or things that might fit in the deck, feel free to upgrade them, but you definitely don't have to. This is a great starting point. Things I might change. I would probably want to solidify getting another Hero's Downfall over a murder. Play this split the other way. Just having the flexibility on planeswalkers is very valuable to me, especially in standard. You'd have to do some research and see what the meta decks do, and you're not going to find that so much in bronze. Like, you can look on MTG Goldfish and do some research of your own and see what you might want to play against, what you're worried about running into. But Phyrexian Espionage was a house at 5 mana, draw 2, your opponent discards 1. We were able to knock their last removal spell out of one of our opponent's hands. That was awesome. It felt really good. It's expensive, but it's a common, and that's what you get. The art is also on point, so just for that, I would probably pick up a playmat of Phyrexian Espionage. Not sponsored. But yeah, the deck did what it was supposed to do, and I think that that has value at this 0 rare building restriction. If this was helpful, feel free to like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it, and I'll see you all for the next one.